for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure for you to come on. We will at some point be joined by Robin tonight. I think his Wi-Fi is in and out because he's over in Northern Ireland doing some work.
Oh wow!
But it's been a pleasure for you to come on. I'm grateful we've got this invite. Finally managed to get a date and a time where we're all available.
Yeah, it was a bit tricky to try and get all lined up.
Yeah. So let's start by sort of telling the listeners about your product, where you got the idea from. Yeah.
Okay. So my product is PoolwaterTS, which is an online pool water testing results input analysis and reporting system. It essentially came about from obviously doing paper pool test reports and not being able to see what was happening in the results. Some people were able to see the trends just by looking at the figures, and some people couldn't. So there was a bit of a disparity between how people were responding to what was happening in the pool, or even thinking things were worse than they actually are. So I ended up creating a prototype system that allowed my staff in the centre that I run to be able to see whether the results were good or bad based on set criteria, whether it was actually getting too high and they should do something about it. And essentially that then developed onto what is now in place, which is PoolwaterTS.
I believe you started it as an Excel spreadsheet. Is that right?
I did. Yep. I've got a bit of a love of a geeky love of spreadsheets, unfortunately, which I do get teased about at work quite often. So it was on spreadsheets initially, with all the various complex formulas and graphs that came with that.
And was that spreadsheet then, I don't know, sat on it like a Google Cloud or like a cloud server so you could see it from home, or how did it initially sort of span from there?
So I tried to do it on Excel initially, and there were limitations with that. So it then developed onto Google Sheets, which allowed obviously people to view it online from various different areas and using Google Forms as the input method for the actual pool test results. But there wasn't the validation that the staff needed to at that moment of when they're actually putting the results in. It was only after they submitted that they actually got that clarification of whether the result was okay or not. So then that obviously prompted to have validations in another form, and then creating the software was obviously how that came about. Robin's here.
You're back now. We're recording, Robin.
How we doing, lads?
Oh, yeah.
Not too bad.
Fantastic. Great to see Daniel on.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I can't. The thing is, we're now putting faces to names and all that, and we're going to get to see some fantastic, some fantastic products tonight. It's all about water test tonight, isn't it?
Yes.
As the big boy in.
But this might have been a bad idea, getting him from a hotel.
Yeah.
So you're explaining sort of about the product, sort of where it.
Somebody told everyone about the exciting news.
No, we haven't told everyone
about our sponsorship.
You can break it up. I can see you now.
I can only afford certain hotels. The Wi-Fi shite. Plus, we're in lockdown here. I can't even get a fucking sandwich.
Robin, is there any chance you can use 4G off your phone if you've got such a thing as 4G there? That might be better for a Wi-Fi connection. Right, so Daniel, this is going to be funny with him. I forgot.
Yeah.
Completely forgot where we were there with the product. So, PoolwaterTS.
It's causing you to freeze up as well now. Well, that's a good bit of feedback.
Yeah. Are you here now, Robin? Tell me you're here now.
I'm on my phone. Can you see me?
Perfect. Perfect. Switch his camera on so we can see you.
Oh, now you're fucking asking.
Right.
I think that's the 3 HUD on, right? Hold on.
Keep going, Dan. Robin, we've got you crystal clear voice-wise. There we go. Perfect.
Look at that. I'm in.
Hey, there he is.
Look at that.
This is them.
Technology will not beat me.
But
this is the worrying thing. He's our resident IT expert, this man.
Oh shit! No way, man. Right, I'm there. Do you know what?
Yeah,
There's
so-
something up in the top left corner. It looks like Russian light writing or something. I reckon we're getting spied on now, Ian.
Yeah, do you think so?
Either that, it's a dodgy hotel that I'm in.
It's probably more like that. Probably the dodgy hotel. So yes, I hadn't announced the exciting news yet because we're talking about Dan. Well, Dan's and I was product evolved. So he started off with an Excel spreadsheet. He's progressed from there, and Dan was saying it's set limitations. So go on then, Dan, from there. So you found limitations with Excel when it comes to logging.
So the limitations with Excel, which then prompted a move, which the workplace that I was at the time was using Google services for all of their systems, and that then obviously helped the development, I suppose, for moving in the direction of using Google Sheets, developing from home, and the staff being able to use it as a system, using the Google Forms, as I said earlier, but unfortunately that didn't have the validations on it. But people could view it from their phones, computers, wherever. And myself as a manager, I could view that from home at any point, see what the pool test results were doing, and be able to respond to that if needed. Or if the staff phoned me with a problem to do with the plant room, I could then just have a quick look on my phone, see what was happening with the results, and be able to guide them in terms of what my experience has told me. Which obviously saved me from having to go to site, and actually helped me to educate them at the time over the phone or whatever, and help get the problem sorted.
I'm sure you're probably in a very similar boat to many leisure centre managers. We're getting phone calls at home. I've experienced it. Robin's experienced it.
Yeah.
Calls at home. This is wrong. This is wrong. And you're thinking, actually, it's fine.
Definitely.
Have some peace and quiet tonight. Star Trek's on. I want to watch Doctor Who, something like that. In Robin's case, in football.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've all been in that sort of boat, haven't we, Robin?
Ah, Jesus Christ, yeah. And it's always happens in the worst day. Saturday morning, the fresh-faced new duty manager's on duty. You've had your weekend. This your first weekend off in 6 months. You've been out in the lash on the Friday. You've got a raging fucking hangover on the Saturday. And then you get the phone call at 6:30. Robin, free chlorines at 0.3. What do I do? Oh, you're like, oh, Jesus, here we go. Nightmare. Blocked injector or something. You've got the fresh-faced duty officer greeting in the plant room. I don't know what to do. I've been there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of that, I have had situations where people have been doing the results, and I've just randomly sort of checked up from home, see what's going on, and noticed actually it's starting to creep in the wrong direction. And then being able to advise the staff, because they hadn't necessarily noticed at that point, that they need to do something because that could be an issue.
So one of the reasons, Dan, I waited a little while before I invited you on the podcast, because we did talk about coming on, was because we always planned to envisage to do these videos. And I just felt that your product, for those of us that are watching us on YouTube, would look better here because you can demo it. So I've seen quite a lot of the product. So talk to Robin because Robin hasn't seen much of the product at all, as if he's a complete newbie. Do you want to show him the product?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Hi, Robin, how you doing?
Brilliant, big man. Stranded in Belfast right now, but do you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing your product. It's going to cheer me up.
Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. Right, so I'll present my screen for you so you can see the fantastic product that I've created. So hopefully you can see my PoolwaterTS screen.
I can, yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
I like it. Yep.
So this product has I've kind of gone into a bit already, has come out of obviously experience of being a manager with my staff, helping them to understand obviously what's happening with the results, being able to be notified as well in terms of what is happening and be able to respond and react as well. I've designed this system to be as intuitive and easy to use as possible based on my own experience. I mean, it's easy with this sort of system to make it too complicated and to make it hard for people to use because you're putting too much into it. But from my aspect, and the fact that I've got a center to be able to test it at daily, hourly, or whatever, whenever the tests are, then I've had a lot of feedback from my staff and also test sites that I've had on board with this system as well, to be able to make sure this product is easy to use and understandable for everyone. So when coming onto this system, so this is the dashboard, the main dashboard that people will go onto that shows the last pool test results. So 4 cards along the top, and they all show different bits of the information from the pool test. So obviously when it was done, where it was taken from for the sample, who did it, when the next test is due as well. Obviously the pH, the chlorine, any comments with regards to the pool test, air temperatures, humidities, etc. And other miscellaneous information such as what the weather is outside. Because obviously that, depending on the system, can affect obviously the environment on poolside and other things as well. Along with obviously how many people are in the pool, so that gives you an indication of how your pool test results might be. So if there's 30, 40 people in the pool, at the time you take the sample, you might expect that actually the results might be slightly higher than they were on the last test where there was no one in the pool. And that gives a manager that's looking back on the results an easy way to understand what might be happening with any given readings. Okay, so the system defaults in terms of date range based on the number of tests that have happened recently. It'll go to a 2-day view, week view, or month view, depending on how many tests there are. The graphs will show obviously the trend over time, so you can see whether it's fairly stable or whether the results are actually peaking upwards in a negative way, or obviously dropping down. Same for the environment with the humidity, water temps, etc. Which give obviously a member of staff an immediate view of what's actually happening in the pool itself. The cards at the top, one of the things that I think is really, really good with this system, in that it gives you an initial view of where the readings are going in terms of whether they're level with the last test, whether they're increasing, whether they're decreasing based on the last test, and also whether the readings are good or bad. So a tick obviously means that the readings are good. An arrow, whether it be down or up, showing that the readings are actually slightly above or below how we want them to be. So it's something to potentially look at. There is also a scenario on these cards where if the pool is actually outside of the closed threshold, so for example, if the chlorine is over 5 parts per million or below 1.5, then it'll actually come up with a no entry symbol as well. So you know immediately that that pool should be closed based on those readings. Okay, so it gives immediate validation.
I believe, Dan, as well, when you're talking about validation, because I've done a bit of work with you on this, the initial setup, you choose your own parameters, don't you, or you can default?
Yeah, so they default initially to PewTag guidance based on the pool type. So whether it be a spa pool, a main and standard swimming pool, or whatever, based on obviously the PewTag book and any technical notes that they've obviously put out in line with COVID, etc. But the operator has the option to override those results based on how they want to run their pool or how they need to run their pool. For example, obviously we're trying to aim for obviously as close to 7 pH as possible, but there are some pools that can't reach that, or they can't or shouldn't because of certain factors such as chemicals or whatever, the type that they're using. And maybe they need to run their pH a bit higher, and obviously they can then obviously have their chlorine higher to obviously compensate for the efficiency. This system will obviously show them that based on their results, whether the reading is good or bad. So if they want to set their chlorine for 3 parts per million rather than 2, then they can set that, and it will show the validations as to whether it's good or bad outside of those ranges.
Daniel, just see the data. Is it the data that's going into the spreadsheet? Is that going in automatically from the PoolwaterTS kit?
No, this is all based on manual entry using a tablet, phone, or desktop computer.
Okay, right.
There is a possible option for links with Bluetooth devices in the future, but looking into that at the moment, it's looking like it's going to be a bit tricky in terms of the security side of it initially. So that move to Wi-Fi for those products might be a way that we can link the system in better.
I mean, it's just a case instead of you obviously you might have your staff writing it down as well as putting it into an iPad or a tablet at the same time. So it's not a big deal. It was just I was interested in how it's been populated.
I mean, I've looked into the different options in terms of the Bluetooth connectivity. Especially with the photometers, obviously that have the Bluetooth. There is potential for it. But I think, like with some of the newer like earbud devices, those are moving to Wi-Fi connection rather than the Bluetooth, partly because of the security side of it. So it might be worth looking into the development of that sort of connection for the future as well, as I say, direct from the device, rather than necessarily a third-party link.
So we can see there, Dan, obviously we've got a red line there on your pH, green line on your free chlorine level, but also you've got this grey dashed line for the they're taking the controller unit as a double read, so you can kind of map where the lines are and sort of being level.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously in terms of being, knowing how the plant room's running, being able to see whether the controller is actually matching what the results are showing is obviously quite key to know that it's actually dosing properly. I mean, for example, in the scenario that we've got on the screen at the moment, you notice that obviously the controller reading is quite different from the readings here and here. Now, these readings are actually taken from the pool that I run at the moment, and there's actually a reason for that in terms of the platinum coil in the dosing controller is actually broken, which is going to be replaced soon. And that you can actually see in these readings where it's actually not stabilized with those readings. It obviously should be a lot closer. Yes, there is a variation in terms of taking the sample from the pool and the reading on the dosing controller as well. But, they shouldn't be too far away from each other necessarily.
Dan, I think it looks quite good. If you switch to month view for a second, I think that gives you a really good representation. When you look at it over a month, I realise obviously we went through lockdown 2 as part of that month, but now when you see that line there, Robin,
that's massive. That's massive, Dan. You'll see that. What you're now getting is a picture of the performance, either of the controller or indeed who's doing the water testing.
Exactly.
This is the key. The key here is being able to measure performance. Well, in my eyes, I mean, that's just an opinion of mine. That I think this is where, if I was a leisure manager, I would be looking for it to highlight areas of concern and even potentially areas of good practice to show that, right, we're doing well here. Our equipment's working well, and the guys that are doing the water testing are pretty consistent,
Yeah. And you know what I can see quite clearly from this, Dan, straight away, but jumps on my head. You can see the green line, the 1.5 threshold, and you can see quite clearly, I know it was lockdown 2 not so long back, but I can see quite clearly that you have been constantly above and never dipped below that 1.5. So that's a quick visual aid for me or Robin, just to look at it and go, right, are you COVID compliant? Initially, when you're looking at the free chlorine level, thumbs up, brilliant, rock on. And, as well, there is a few peaks and troughs, and you've explained why that is. But in an ideal world, the line would be about flattish, wouldn't it? Because it would just be going with a set point. And it would be a slight wave. Yeah, as flat as you can get the lines, sort of really what you're after, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And on the other side of it with the pH, in terms of the obviously the bounce that we have there's quite a good reason for that one as well. Because of the guidance that came out with all the COVID from PewTag, obviously trying to meet the 7 pH, we actually found that with the chemical that we had for our pH control, so sulfuric acid, was actually affecting our alkalinity massively. Our alkalinity shot way down because we were trying to meet that 7. So that's why we have our pH a little bit higher, obviously compensating with the chlorine as well, obviously being at a higher level. And we're still in the process of trying to obviously match that alkalinity to the right guidance. So obviously it gives you that indication as well in terms of how the pool is performing, not only in obviously the immediate pool test results, but also in the water balance. So if I flick over to the water tab that I've got up here, if my computer doesn't freeze, which it looks like it has done.
Daniel, just a wee quick question. What are you using for your disinfectant?
We're using sodium hypo.
Ah, right, okay. Right. You will really, really struggle to get your alkalinity, even at the best of times, using sodium hypo with the sulfuric acid. Because you're aiming for over the 120. I wouldn't even bother trying to get to the 120, in all honesty.
Yeah.
So long as you're above the 75, you know, that's a positive.
Yeah, which unfortunately we're not at the moment.
Right, okay. Okay.
Well, no, sorry. On this one we are. So we're on 100 on this particular reading on this view
that's
here.
Good,
but the latest test we actually did recently, which was actually today, our alkalinity is actually at around 40-ish.
Yeah.
So it's still too low at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
with this sort of system, it obviously highlights those issues for you, and it helps you to obviously manage that over time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. you know, the TDS is very good, considering that you're using sulfuric and sodium hypochlorite, and that your calcium's up at 300. TDS.
And you can see,
these are obviously manually entered figures, though, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, we do have certificates to back up these water analysis ones. These are from a contractor. So.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So the as I say, I've been working with Dan on a while for this product, but they basically take the water analysis test for, you know, your microbiological testing, and then they input them over to this. So in a nutshell, again, you can look at the water microbiological analysis, which is just scrolling down to, and you can see what it's been doing as well.
Brilliant. That's good. I like that. Yeah.
So, you know, obviously Robin does do a lot of testing with that. That's sort of his bag as well. And I like the fact that on the water balance index there, I'm just glancing at it, and you can quite clearly see that you're round about 0 or slightly negative in your case for your pool, you know, as an overall sort of picture. But not what would normally happen is you don't have that mapping, do you? So normally you find yourself flicking back and forward in records, and you'd have to probably input them into like an Excel sheet type scenario to make a line graph and then convert it to graphs. But this, the DM just picks up the phone, type, enter, done, pings it off.
Exactly.
So if let's say, I don't know, Dan, you've got a pH 7.7, let's say, and one of the duty managers doesn't quite understand the meaning of the results, but you know, does understand how to do a proper pool test, what would it do there?
Okay, so this would be at the point of when they're actually doing a pool test itself. So this is the form that they will be inputting on. They can do all different elements of the pool test. We'll stick with the main pool test only at this point, just for simplicity. So they obviously choose their sample point. They put in the pH, so 7.2, for example, at this point. So it comes up initially with a green tick based on this reading, which is based on the thresholds that I've got in for the pool. Now, if that reading comes out at being too high, it will show them that it's too high. Not only with the arrow to show which direction it's too high, that it's going in, but also with obviously the words to obviously highlight that as well. So for people that prefer different ways of seeing things, then obviously that backs that up.
And will the system, will it notify anyone the fact that it's high?
Now with this system, I've set it up so that if it's a closed threshold, so let's say I put it to 8.0, automatically shows that it should close the pool. If they were to submit the form with it like this, it will then bring up a notification straight away in this alert system at the top right, which I'll show you in just a second. Now, in terms of the low or high readings, it will only send an alert if the readings have been low or high for continuously for the last 4 tests. I've set it at 4 just purely so that people don't get spammed too much by it, because, you know, you can have little fluctuations here and there. But by having it as 4, then they get to know that, you know, something has happened over those last 4 that hasn't been corrected yet, and maybe they need to have a look at it. So obviously the closed thresholds are a bit more vital. They need to be instant, whereas the lows and highs, as long as they're within obviously the thresholds and guidance, then obviously it doesn't need to be as instant, but obviously still notifying over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it comes through. Sorry, Daniel. Does it come through as an email then?
It will do in future. At the moment, it's only on the system, so it's via this up here. So it shows that currently there's 2 alerts from previous tests that I put in.
I've seen that up a wee notification bell on the top. Yeah, I see that now. I see you. Yeah.
So if I click on there, then it shows the notifications in here.
All right. Okay. Got you.
So it's nice and clear in terms of what has happened. So alert shows you the site, the pool, who submitted the test, when it was, and also a link here to view the pool test itself, and also the message to show what's actually happened. Yeah,
that's really good because it's got alerts. The pool test has been submitted with a reading that exceeds the threshold, and then when you read further down, it specifies the actual pH is very high. So it's not then a case of then looking at the test and saying, I still don't understand pool testing, which one is it?
Yeah.
It's actually physically saying your pH is high, your pH is low, your pH is, you know, whatever it might be, chlorine's high, chlorine's low. So it's giving them the additional information.
Yeah, no, definitely. In a future update, there will be the actual reading next to this line as well. So it show pH is very high and the reading that it actually attributes to as well. So that will give an even more, obviously, indication of what's actually the situation. But as I say, there's a link here as well, so that they can then click on that pool test to be able to see the results themselves. So they can see what's actually happening inside of that.
It does it as a summary.
Yeah. Okay. If I go back to the pool test form for a moment. So with these validations, they're not just obviously on the pH alone, they're obviously on the chlorine as well, or the disinfectant side. I try and reference disinfectant in this because obviously some people obviously won't just be using chlorine, they might be on other things. So the thresholds will still apply in terms of what they want to set it for though. So for example, if obviously the chlorine is at 2, then obviously it's fine. I've got it set so that the minimum is 1.5. So if they're at 1.5, it will show it's low at the point. If they go to 1.49, it will then go straight to close, and obviously they should close the pool. If they submit the form, notification obviously comes up. As I said, it will come up in an email format in future. It's pre-set up, but not yet active yet. But that'll then go to whoever has got a specific notification selected in their contact profile. So if they've got that they want to receive close threshold notifications, then obviously they'll get that email. If they've got low, then they'll get that obviously based on the form. As well as this, it also does the calculation for the combined chlorine. So if I was to put in 1.6, obviously it shows the combined chlorine calculation and obviously the validation based on that. Okay.
So that's really, even something simple, that's really good, because Robin, how many times have you seen the member of staff get their phone out because they can't do some, they struggle with mathematics, it's not for everyone. So they don't have to worry about it, they don't have to think about it, they can just punch it in and it does it for you.
Yeah.
Ian, the fact that it actually calculates the combined will, in some places, will fill that void where they don't even bother right down the combined. So it's actually done for them. So there's no excuses there. So, for sites that are struggling to get staff to actually do what they want them to do, this is ideal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, so many people that I've spoken to about this as well, that they've been so happy that particular feature is in here. Even some of my own staff have been really happy about obviously that being in. Yeah, okay, some of them can do it in their heads. Sometimes it's a bit too much pressure to do when they're trying to obviously get the pool open and ready, and they find that this just helps obviously for the speed of obviously getting the pool test done, so they don't have to worry about certain elements of it.
Okay.
Yeah. There is also the option on this system as well to do retests, so to give that audit trail of how the readings are doing in terms of whether something's high and they've then checked it, rather than overwriting the results, which they might do on paper or just scribble to the side. There's actually the option to do up to 2 retests on this system. So they can then do their initial test. If they find that the reading isn't as how they want it, or how they would expect, shall I say, and they suspect that maybe they've taken a duff sample, or maybe the tablet's faulty, or any other reason, they can then do a retest of the water. They can then obviously fill it into these ones, and then let's say that comes out 2.5. They then do another retest after that just to verify that that's correct. 2.5. They can then set one of these as the default reading that will then show up on the dashboard and in the pool test preview. So whichever one they set as the default will obviously untick the others and show as the main one for the results.
So as well with the additional testing, I can see it's quite good that the fact that you might be, the pH is fine, you're not worried about that. It's you're just doing the additional test on the free chlorine or vice versa.
Yeah,
so
totally.
they don't have to repeat the entire test on the additional
test.
Not
at all.
So yes, it could be, as you say, the free chlorine level's a little bit low. The comments are check the controller, filled up the day tank, hand dosed, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And then, retest. Yeah, it's at the right level now. Default to that for the free chlorine, but it keeps the same pH level from before because it was still well within the range.
Exactly. Yeah, because that one's still set as the primary result. Obviously, if I fill it in. Yeah. Okay. Now, the other features that I've got on this pool test form as well is in terms of checking the dosing controller. So checking the calibration of that. Obviously, it's something that needs to be done over time, whether it's by a pool plant operator or by the people that are actually doing the pool test, such as at my site. So they can actually obviously put the readings of the display. So let's say it comes at 7.2 on the display for the dosing controller, 2.5. And maybe it's a certain time of the day that they do a check of the calibration, or they suspect that maybe it's not quite right. There's maybe too big a gap between their main sample and the dosing controller. I think that there's something going on. They can obviously then do a test of the dosing controller water, and obviously verify that calibration is actually correct. So they can then calibrate the system, and they can tick if they've recalibrated that particular setting. So that gives you an audit trail of how things have happened in the plant room as well, and how they've rectified issues potentially.
And you'll get a wee graph that comes up showing how often that's been done.
In terms of calibration,
yeah,
not yet. That is something I want to put on there in the future. It's a little bit tricky with the graphing system that I'm using, but yeah, not at the moment. But obviously, you can get the controller reading on the graphs at the moment.
Okay. Even if it was just a list of dates, almost. It's sort of giving you a list of dates, and you look at the dates, you say, oh my God, I'm recalibrating the system every 2 days, so you've just got even a list.
That would be massive. Yeah, that would be a great assistance. Yeah.
Like you said, Dan, obviously you've got a problem with a probe just now.
Yes.
So if you saw that, oh my God, every 2 hours they're recalibrating this probe, there's got to be something wrong with the probe or something wrong with the system, or where just now it's usually a clipboard which they may or may not sign off. In the plant room. It's massive, Robin, isn't it?
Oh, I've just been delivering a pool plant operators course today, and that was that's a major part of the subject, on water testing, is how you actually deal with the controller after you assess your water test,
Yeah, no, definitely. Along with this system as well on this form, there's all the plant checks as well, which can be obviously filled in by a pool plant operator at a different time from the main pool test, or as I say, if the pool test staff are obviously doing the checks as well for all of them. So the site that I run, my duty officers, shift management, they actually test or check all the plant room as well. So the dosing systems, the filters, the circulation pumps, and all of those are logged on here as well. And there's validations for quite a few of these as well.
Sorry, Dan. One of the things I quite like to when you're talking about that is if you can show Robin the plant checks, it's quite interesting, Robin. So one of the things that is in the system is you can actually log how often they fill in the day tank.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
So when you go into the plant room checks, it'll show you how often they fill in the day tank.
Yeah.
So you then think about ordering. Then you're also thinking about busy times, not so busy times. So you can see there the mapping of how full the day tank is, and obviously the red line shooting up there, they've refilled the acid tank. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously the chlorine and the flock as well. So you can obviously see those over a period of time to see how they're obviously going down. Plan, as you said, obviously your costings for the future in terms of when you need to order as well. Now,
and that's just manually added in by the staff.
Yes, it is. So for my site, they do it. If they obviously with the acid barrel, they're generally blue for the ones that we get. So obviously you can't see in it. So it's an estimated percentage.
Right.
With the others, such as the day tank, then we've got a grid on the side where they can put what the actual percentage is there in there, which then relates to this graph.
Yeah.
And I notice up there when you're looking at it, and obviously if anyone listening to this podcast, I'd probably encourage you to actually look at it on YouTube. You can see there it's also got water dilution dump. Do you see that, Robin, in the top right? In grey, last water dump.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, 6,000 litres, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can measure whether you're actually achieving your 30 litres per bather, eh?
Yeah, that's the plan. So in this graph here, it shows all the water dumps that have happened so far, and obviously how much has been dumped.
So is that taking off the water meter reading?
So this is manually entered by the staff, obviously, based on a flow rate. Now, unfortunately, in my site, we don't actually have a flow meter. So we're kind of loosely estimating what the flow rate would be. But those sites that do have this will give them an exact reading of obviously how much they've obviously dumped based on time and obviously that flow rate.
Dan, you've just swore at Robin. That's one of his most favourite bits of kit.
I know. I really want a flow meter as well.
It's a red line. As Robin would say, it's a red line.
It is. I agree. Yeah, totally agree. I'm all up for it, but yeah, we haven't got one just yet.
You would have loved the site I was at today. They had a flow rate meter on the side. It was broken, and someone had got a little bit of paper and sellotaped it next to it and put flow rate meter broken December 2018.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. I've got a photo of it.
Jesus.
I'll send you it.
Brilliant.
They just put a
Love it.
little note on the side of it. It was broken back in 2018.
No way, man. Well,
So-
listen, that's your job to sell them another one, Ian.
Yeah, I can see there as well. You've got you're logging your filter pressures, your inlet and outlet differential, and the pressures.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So that's really good as well. So obviously
19 and 18, 19 and 10.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll be in PSI, mate.
yeah.
You love PSI, Robin, don't you?
Yeah. Don't go there. Don't go there. I'm still top of the league.
Yeah, so same as with obviously the dosing tanks. Obviously with the filter pressures, you can obviously see where a backwash has been done, and obviously how the filter pressures have settled down over time as well, and obviously increased to obviously requiring a backwash again.
See, that's quite interesting there. That when they're down, we look at the pressure differential. So I can see that the blue line takes a dip, the inlet pressure, and the outlet pressure then lifts. So the two lines come closer together. So when the differential splits apart, like it does a few days later, you can tell it's getting a lot dirtier.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be better when if you can. Is that a monthly one? If you did it on a weekly one, it'd probably look better.
Weekly would obviously be a lot flatter in terms of what we've got at the moment. We've got fairly low usage at the moment, so there's not really much change in it at the moment.
Yeah.
But obviously, in terms of this side as well, it's good for those sites that maybe think that their pressure gauges are working on their filters, and yet maybe if it doesn't change over time, they can see that maybe something's wrong and they need to get that serviced.
Yeah.
And some sites, Dan, use it to log meter readings as well, don't they, I believe?
Yeah. So there is a graph here which isn't yet ready, but on the pool test form, I believe it is, there is actually an option to put it. Sorry, it won't be on this view because I've actually got it set so that you can't. But in the site settings, they can choose how they want the pool to this is something worth telling you about. On the site settings, they can choose how they want all the fields to be populated on the form. So if they don't have a boiler, it won't show a boiler. If they have, then they can tick that and it will then populate for them on the pool test form. So it makes it very dynamic to the sites. So all of the things that are ticked on this form here are things that will show on the pool test form. If it's not ticked, it won't show. Therefore, they don't have to fill it in.
So the whole thing is tailored to each of the sites with the initial setup.
Yes, definitely. And obviously, as they get more equipment, they can obviously tick more things to obviously get those on the pool test form so they can then fill them in and obviously log them.
Robin, how much easier would this have made our lives 10, 20 years ago when we were working in sites?
I'd have been able to keep an eye on my staff a lot better, big guy, I tell you.
It makes a big difference. It really does.
It's helpful for the staff as well. It's not about Big Brother watching over you. It's about making it easy for them, and it's a step-by-step process and what they need to do on a daily basis, especially for somebody who's fairly new to this.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, even those people that obviously are quite old hat and think they know everything about how the pool works, it actually helps enlighten them in terms of, little bits that they maybe didn't know, or, it's slightly different to what they expected, perhaps. So everyone can learn from using this system and being able to see how things are performing.
One of the things I like about it is, I mean, I do a lot of stuff with litigation cases and accident investigations and stuff like that. And I'll get somebody that'll come and say, I swam in your pool 2 years ago on the 17th of March, at such and such a time, what was happening with the pool. And granted, a lot of places will have the records and a lot of places will have them neatly archived and all the rest, quite easy to access. But the amount of places that struggle to do that, to be able to show a consistent standard of where they are and that actual test itself. And that's probably where, as you mentioned before, in the future, if the photometer Wi-Fi straight to the system, PoolwaterTS, PoolwaterTS, then you're at the point there where you don't even need to input it. You just walk away from the photometer. It's done.
Yeah,
you can't get it any easier.
Yeah, no, very true. Yeah.
And if you can get a wee alert showing up in your app, that would be brilliant, eh?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is all in the future, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, there's so many things that I want to develop with this system. Not only obviously making it even more feature packed in terms of what an operator can do, or to help staff obviously understand it, but in terms of links with governing bodies as well. So one of my hopes is to have a link with PewTag in the future for the Poolmark accreditation, so that anyone that's on Poolmark potentially could allow PewTag to see their results through this system and get, PewTag can then have the confidence to say that they are meeting those standards over a period of time continuously. And that gives a bit more maybe emphasis to that accreditation. Obviously, it's quite big anyway, but it gives a bit more, in-depth knowledge in terms of what that site's doing.
Dan, I've got bad news for you, mate. Not having a flow rate meter is a red line.
I know. Yeah, and not having a accredited pool plant operators qualification for PewTag as well.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me, big guy? You are shitting me, aren't you? No way.
What?
Listen, we can fix that for you. We can fix that.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping to do a PewTag approved one next year.
Well,
mine runs out then.
Listen, big guy, I managed to win a watch last week, and we've got processes and protocols in place to help you with a potential conversion.
Yeah, no, that is the case. So, Dan, if Robin, what do you think? This is the first time you've seen this product.
Well, I've had a wee look already, and I did actually. I was hoping that my local swimming pool was going to trial it, and I think Daniel's aware of that at Perth Leisure Pool.
Yes.
And I was planning to kind of work with Perth Leisure Pool and keep tabs on this and document it myself, and then get a right good hands-on with it. And Scott from Perth did mention it to me that we could, look at this. But it's brilliant. The performance analysis is second to none. The instant view of what's happening at your pool remotely is invaluable for a lot of pool managers. So it's definitely a goer, as you say. It's a no-brainer for anyone that's a pool manager to put it in and at least trial it. You're going to have, like anything, you'll have the same issues. It's something new. You need to get the staff to buy into it, because in their eyes, it'll probably, initially looks as if it's going to be more work for them. In the long run, it's going to be less work for them. Because things are getting spotted earlier, and it's going to be, so, but you need to get them to buy into it. It's just the same as anything else. But the essence of it, the fundamentals of it, you can't argue. I would hope that there are many pools ready to at least trial it and give it a go.
Yeah. So anyone wants to give it a go, there's a 1 month free trial that people can take up. No commitment to obviously take it on long term. But hopefully that 1 month will give them the time to be able to see what will work for them and get the feel of the system.
And if they wanted to do that, take up the 1 month, how would they contact you? How would they ask to be have a 1 month free trial?
So there's a couple of ways. They can either email me on info@poolwaterts.com, obviously as per the words at the top left, or they can go to poolwaterts.com and then fill in the form at the bottom of the page to show their interest in potentially using the system. Either way, I'll contact them back and arrange to either have a demo online with them, or I can just instantly create a test login for them to be able to have a play with it.
And when you've got a prospective new client, I believe you do a bit of an introduction with them and sort of navigate the system over like a Zoom type call.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. So with everyone that's taken it on so far, I've done a tutorial session with them. No charge for that at all. Obviously, because it helps them know how to use the system. I'll go through the whole process of how to use it and what it does and what features they can get out of it.
It's brilliant. Brilliant. I certainly would be signing up, Robin, if this was back to me running a pool back then.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have is there a retail recommended price, Daniel, or is it a price on application, or?
So the standard price for this system is £200 per year per site, and that's for a site with up to 3 pools. There is a discount for seasonal pools, obviously to reflect the fact that they're not open throughout the whole year. And there is also an offer on at the moment for 50% off for the first 50 sites. So yeah, that's in place and ready for people obviously to take it up.
So basically,
Fantastic.
£100 for a year of you. Well, the first month's free, so you get £100. You're going to get 13 months of this.
Yep.
What's that? I don't know, £7-8 a month to log this. I tell you what, Robin. I wonder what the photocopying and costs would be, for a site. And how many times has someone used that last copy and they've got the old pool test sheet and they try to Tipex out all the numbers?
Big man. Listen, the amount of toilet paper that will be used when people start reading dodgy pool test results that they see when they go and do their checks, when they actually are in the building, they would save £100 on actually being able to see it remotely instead of having the heart attacks of coming in and seeing the free chlorine level down at 0.3 and the pool should be shut, So I think it's too cheap. But do you know what? I understand you're trying to develop the product and the business, so you're entering the market, and you're giving a great offer for those that are going to take it up early. So brilliant. I hope many do. We'll certainly be watching with a keen eye and encouraging people to have a go and trial it at least.
Now, one thing I need to add to what we've said so far as well is the price that people will be paying for this system is regardless of any upgrades to the system. Now, I'm very much an advocate of, if you're buying into something, you shouldn't have to pay for those little extras to get access to them. I'm very much of the mind that this system is going to be all encompassing, and no matter what upgrades is going to be added to it, the price they're paying is going to be that. Then they're not going to be paying extra. I'm also one for trying to allow people to maintain the system over a long period of time and be able to budget for it. So the price that they pay at the start, except for obviously discount side of things, will be what they pay long term. I won't be adding increases of prices to people if they're staying with me for 10 years. They'll still be paying the price they paid at year one. It's only as they join at a later date that the prices may change. But I want to try and keep this affordable for all sites, regardless of size, because I personally see the benefits from myself as a manager of how this helps the staff, helps obviously plan for maintenance and rectify issues. And I want to be able to help the industry to evolve and to be able to make the pools obviously the safest they can be, and to prove that they are the safest they can be.
It's fantastic. It's really good. Really, really good. Certainly, do you know what? Robin, this would make our lives easier as consultants as well. If a pool you're stuck in Belfast today, a pool in the Highlands gives you a shout, says, Robin, we can't understand what's going on. For you and I, look at those graphs, it spoke volumes to us, didn't it? To quickly ascertain some problems.
Oh, listen, if you're doing an audit, if for example, if I was to come back to Belfast to do an audit, prior to flying over for the client, I could take a wee look at their history of their water testing, their plant checks, the controller, and then I could come over prepared with information, and the audit would be a lot simpler. I could help clients over the phone. If you can see tangible parts of the process and you can see information in front of you, it makes decision making a lot easier, and it makes assessing performance a lot easier, remotely, for consultants, for managers, for whoever.
Yeah. Dan, it's been a pleasure to see you tonight, to see this product, and we wish you all the best in the future, trying to develop it even further, get more sites to sign up. So Robin, I'm going to let you do it now. We can now tell them the exciting news, which is quite apt for this episode.
It's all about water testing, big guy. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
It's about being the best you can be at water testing, and we are now big names in the industry. Poolcast is hitting the dizzy heights. We're now working in a partnership with Test All Water, www.testallwater.co.uk, who supply a wide range of testing kits. We can now offer our listeners a discount on those kits. And I think, Ian, you've got the details in front of you there, am I right?
Yeah, so there is if you use the term Poolcast, there's going to be a subscription. There's going to be a short ad at the start of this podcast, hopefully tonight, if I can get it right, and a short ad at the end. The discount varies in product to product because just how it is, because it's different suppliers. But certainly it's going to be moving on. You subscribe, you'll get an exclusive discount between photometers, comparators, reagents for testing tablets, you name it. It's a one-stop shop. Lovey Bond, Palin Test, Trace2O, Lamotte, Hannah. You keep going. The supply TDS meters, various different bits of paraphernalia. I encourage you to have a look at their website. It's a really good service, based in the UK as well. So based up in the Midlands, and a fantastic service. So hopefully we'll be able to put some stuff on the Facebook group, and we'll put some links on for Dan as well to go back to PoolwaterTS. By all means, Dan. We always invite all guests on. It'd be nice probably to see from you in maybe, I don't know, in a year's time or something, to see how many pools have signed up, and when you've got sort of a year's worth of results with some of these pools and trends. As I say, I know I've looked at the product quite a few times since the start of lockdown. We started looking at the product for you, I think. That's been some time now. It's fantastic. So
brilliant, well done, Daniel. Great
Thank
work.
you.
That a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into that, obviously.
Definitely.
And it's something I'll be talking to my clients about. Even the client I'm working with in Belfast, it might be something they would be interested in. I'll maybe pop that in. So it's long may you keep working at it and promoting it, and let's hope that we get some success for you by promoting it through the Poolcast podcast, so it gets the message out to people. If it's something that's going to add value to the industry and help people, then we're more than happy to give you the podcast time and promote it and give the people the option to have a look at the product and try it out.
Right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Dan, good to hear from you tonight.
Yeah, and you. Good to meet you, Robin.
Yeah, and you, Daniel. Keep up the good work, big guy.
Yeah.
Cheers, listeners.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
See ya.